Bali is a world-famous island in Indonesia that attracts millions of visitors each year. And although that number doesn't seem like it'll be decreasing anytime soon, there is an increasing sentiment online. Bali is an overcrowded party resort for Westerners that is over-glamorized on social media and is just over-touristed in general. However, many people still feel a deep connection to this island, its beauty, and its people. So let's talk a little bit more about it and find out once and for all, is Bali overrated? Or is it maybe actually even underrated? So number one, Bali is a party resort for Westerners. I did not know this before I visited Bali, but the vast majority of international tourists who visit Bali are Australians. And I also did not know that Bali is to Australia what like Cancun in Mexico is to the USA, or what Ibiza is to like the UK in Europe. Because it is close by to Australia, it is a very popular like party, holiday, vacation destination for Australians because it's still beautiful and it has like some great beaches, which we'll talk more about later. Great beaches, you know. And it's a lot cheaper. So it's a great place for Australians and other people alike, but specifically Australians to go on vacation. And they typically stay in this area, not just Australians, but all the people looking to live this kind of life or have this kind of experience in Bali, stay in the southwest sort of area called Kuta. So in this area of Bali in particular, it does kind of make it feel like a Western hub, and it does make it more inauthentic, which does take away maybe a desire to travel to this part of Bali or Bali in general for many, and maybe makes it overrated. Number two is Bali is overcrowded. Because of its popularity as like a vacation, kind of like party, or in some other places like the beautiful exotic paradise, many people want to come to Bali, and Bali knows this. They get a lot of money from tourism, so they are expanding, trying to accommodate more and more tourists. And the areas that are popular are becoming even more popular and having even more people wanting to visit, which of course drives up prices, makes traffic ridiculous. These roads are not built for all these people trying to like shimmy down on scooters. And this can, in combination with like the inauthentic feel, kind of being like a Western hub, not an actual like Indonesian sort of cultural feeling place, can make these areas definitely overrated and definitely not fun to visit, with the traffic and overcrowding and other things like trash and stuff that the trash will build up, and they might not necessarily have like the people or the systems in place to keep things clean the way you'd want them to be. So overcrowding definitely can make Bali overrated in this way. And reason number three, the beaches in Bali. Many people want this kind of like party or exotic paradise location to have some amazing, beautiful, pristine white sand beaches. And unfortunately, many of the beaches in Bali are not like this. They're actually more like volcanic kind of sand. It can often have like an unflattering kind of like black, brown, a little bit like orange color, so not quite like that volcanic, beautiful black sand. And these are going to be, again, mostly beaches around that Kuta area, and in combination with this like unflattering color, a lot of like the trash can build up, which we talked a little bit about earlier, making these beaches overall not that beautiful, like paradise kind of beach that you might be wanting to visit from and pay a lot of money to visit if you're coming from far away, or there might be better locations with better beaches nearby if you're maybe like Australian or from areas closer to this part of the world. Number four is social media influence. And unfortunately, this is a problem that exists outside of Bali, but Bali kind of epitomizes this in a lot of ways, because many of the beautiful natural attractions and cultural attractions in Bali have become influencer hotspots, or simply just like photo shoots for Instagrammers. Let me tell you, it can really take away the magic of being at this beautiful waterfall in the jungle when you realize there's a 30-minute queue of people dressed in their cutest clothing, and once they get their opportunity to take a picture, they're going to be there for a long time.
This is why you come to Bali waterfalls before 10 a.m. everybody. Before 9 ideally.
Or if you're at a beautiful, like serene, magical temple, realizing that someone's calling numbers with a megaphone because you got like a little card with a number on it when you came in.
290, 290.
So this can really take away like the natural, great, magical feel of these beautiful places in Bali that are supposed to fill you with like wonder and appreciation. And for me, can kind of make me feel really disappointed or fill me with dread if you know you're going at a busy time of the day. And again, there's nothing wrong with going to like a really cool place and wanting to like take a picture for a memory or to show your friends, but it's getting way out of hand. And people just see a popular place and they want to go to it and they post it, and things snowball absolutely way too fast. And this has happened to a huge extent in Bali. And number five reason it's overrated, transportation. Now, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, I'm gonna be completely honest. If you are unable to ride a scooter or get around comfortably on a scooter in Bali, you are going to have a much different, in my opinion, not much worse, but less awesome, I guess that's just a positive way of saying the same thing, experience getting around Bali. This island was essentially built for scooters, which is why traffic can get so terrible along most of these roads, and like scooters are king for maneuvering around. But unless you want to like walk on sidewalks that scooters see as like a third lane, or a parking spot for that matter, it's not really walker friendly to get around the areas you're in, unless you're maybe like Chingu and Ubud, and even then it's really not that great, to be honest. Or you're going to want to take the scooter away to these other areas that are away from the crowds, which we'll talk about a bit more later. And if you can hire a driver or something, you can use Gojek, you can use ride-sharing apps, but you're gonna lose a lot of the adventure and like the beautiful sort of island exploration aspect that you can get if you ride a scooter and you're able to go outside of these areas to maybe some attractions or places that are off the beaten path, which we'll definitely talk about here in a second. Number 1, diverse natural beauty. And social media cannot over glamorize this, everybody. Bali is freaking gorgeous. It is one of the most beautiful places in the entire world. It's called the Island of the Gods for a reason. And some people can capture the beauty really well because they're really talented and have good equipment, but it cannot compare to actually seeing it, experiencing it, adventuring through it yourself. Whether we're talking about hiking through a jungle to some waterfalls, or going through some rice fields, like on foot or on a scooter, whether you're going to climb a volcano, going to some beautiful, like hidden, pristine white sand beaches with cliffs, massive cliffs overlooking the area, going to some, oh my gosh, just like seeing dolphins right off like the shore of Bali. You have so many amazing adventures and experiences in this beautiful landscape that it really is like underrated. I don't think, like, you can see beautiful pictures online, but it is so beautiful, and you can see so many amazing things on this one island, which is bigger than you think, by the way. Now, number 2 is there are plenty of areas away from the crowds. I told you about how social media has like ruined a lot of Bali, or like made it not as fun, but there are so many areas in Bali that you can have all to yourself because it's a big island, everybody. It takes like over 3 hours to go from the top to the bottom, and there are so many areas outside of Kuta, even Ubud, which is beautiful and I love, but it's going to be busy that you can experience, whether we're talking Sidaman, Uluwatu is getting more popular, but that's okay. Some areas like Munduk, some areas like Ahmed, and everywhere in between. I've had plenty of waterfalls or rice fields or little temples or little like local agricultural farms where I'm eating snake fruit. I've been the only person there, and that is such an amazing, like, authentic experience that you can get in Bali, and just, again, a gorgeous place with plenty of things for you to adventure and experience. Now, number 3, it's kind of like a silly thing to say, but the vibes, guys. Bali has the vibes, and I don't know about you, but when I want to visit somewhere, it's because of like experience, adventure, or overall like feeling or atmosphere a place has that you just like keep with you, and it's intoxicating. And Bali has this. Even in some of the areas I was kind of like crapping on earlier, like in the Kuta area. You go to Canggu or like Seminyak and a lot of these places, the beach clubs are beautiful. A lot of the restaurants are simply gorgeous, like some of the most beautiful places you've ever seen as far as like architecture. And a lot of them do like incorporate like natural cultural feels or natural elements into the restaurant, which is just such a nice feeling. And the food's really great, the music's really good too. Lots of creative people are also like operating in this area, so the businesses are really gorgeous. So you have like that kind of like boho chic creative vibe, and you can also have the traditional cultural like Balinese Hindu vibe in areas like Ubud and further, with a lot of the buildings, a lot of the houses have like temples in the property. They call Bali the island of 1,000 temples for a reason, and I'll talk about that more later. And yeah, just the jungly vibes in Ubud, the beach town feel in Uluwatu and like Canggu, the villas with the amazing architecture as well, and the infinity pools. Bali has a vibe, it has a feeling, and there's a reason so many people love it, because it just feels great and it has a very unique feeling with lots of different like options and elements for you to experience as well. And number 4, which ties in kind of to the vibes, is Bali's westernized, but it still preserves Balinese culture, because the westernization, I think it's mostly prevalent in that like Kuta or Denpasar area, where it's just become like, again, like I said, more of that like party hub for Westerners, which kind of is inevitable. People in Indonesia joke around saying that's not even like Bali anymore, it's kind of like a Western colony, which it's not that funny because you think about colonialism and how terrible it's been, but they're still profiting from a lot of like the tourism and stuff. But it's just a big hub for lots of Western people or like digital nomads, expats. Definitely does not have like the perfect local Balinese feel, But even in areas like that, there are still locals. They still practice Balinese customs and traditions and festivals and have their temple in their actual property, because it turns out 87% of the people on Bali are Hindu, which is really interesting and unique because most areas in Indonesia are Muslim majority, I think. So you still have the religious component, you still have the cultural component. Many people still seem happy and peaceful and very friendly. And if you go out of this area, it is even more apparent. You'll see people like walking around balancing like stuff on their head or dressed in like traditional clothing, celebrating festivals, and they'll smile. Little kids will wave at you and say hello when they see you pass on a bike. It is just so magical. And if you want that Western sort of hub, you can have that. If you want more of the local, more authentic experiences, you can have that. And that is going to kind of conclude this video. Is it overrated or underrated? It really just depends on what you're looking for. Because if you are looking for that party, resort kind of vacation, it could be a little overrated because maybe you want those beautiful beaches. Maybe you want like more of that exotic paradise feel. But if you want like a cheap place with some good food, good vibes, good partying, you can definitely have that. But if you are like a traveler purist, you can still get those experiences. You can still have places all to yourself. You can still have great interactions with local people and observe some local culture and customs, and will affect you and maybe change you as a person. But you know what? That's how I am a lot of the times. But don't be a snob. If other people don't want that when they visit a place, there's nothing wrong with that. Some people just want to enjoy some sunshine, some good vibes, some good drinks, and just have a good time. And there's nothing wrong with that. So you can get both of these experiences in Bali, which is probably what makes it underrated, to be honest. But it's just important to know both sides of things and where you can go and what you can do to get the kind of experience you want in Bali. Because then I think Bali can only truly be underrated, because it is such an amazing place, one of my favorite places in the world, and it gets a lot of hate, but it gets a little less love. Or even traveler purists kind of like scoff and say, oh, you went to Bali? Oh yeah, like, is this your first time leaving the country, white girl? Did you find yourself? Did you become a yogi? Yeah, when you just ate like Western food at this really nice cafe the whole time. Did you have that authentic experience? So don't scoff, don't be snobby, everybody. Travel is not a one-size-fits-all approach. But that's all for the video, everybody. Do you agree with my thoughts and opinions? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.